Well, welcome to 2021, everyone. It's good to see you all. New year, fresh start, all good. So, hope you've had a good break and jump back in on things. Oh, is my internet
I
maybe?
think I think you are frozen.
Okay. Am I back? It is cold in Calgary, so it happens.
All right, we'll need Jill to
Yeah.
moderate, I guess.
Yeah. There we can see. You're moving. Lizzie, go ahead with what you're saying.
Okay, I think I'm back. But we
no, she's frozen.
Yeah.
You send my
Is that any?
Anyway, so welcome everyone back to 2021. I'm excited get going with this new year.
Coming up,
we'll see if that.
Is that
Take two.
Issues?
No, it's just you, but I think without the video, it looks like it's coming through now.
I just paused my Dropbox too, which I think helps.
Probably. Only limited bandwidth.
That might have been it.
Anyway, so trying to think of, I know Lindsay and I were talking about some things, the announcements. We've got our notes, a new notes folder going. Where for this week, I believe we're going to be doing it with just Google Notes or Google Doc that we've been doing in the past. We were looking at, or we're thinking of doing it into the, starting new notes with the IUCSA meeting notes soon. And I believe Rowan is going to give us a tour of them as well.
Yeah, man.
Because Rowan is here.
I am here.
So, with that, I'd like to move quickly through some of these quick reports so we can get on to those agenda items for today. I see Devin has got some typed stuff in there really quick if you'd like to go through it.
Yeah, sure. So I did forward validations, basically an analytic solution versus what SimPEG is doing for 3D frequency domain and time domain EM, conductive and magnetic permeability, with all sorts of orientations of a magnetic dipole source and the different components of the response. And everything matches really quite well. So our 3D simulations in the frequency domain and in the time domain are fairly accurate. I know we talked about a research project trying to tackle the ring artifacts we get in EM inversion. So I've kind of been starting to make that example. And just based on the size of the problem I want, I've sort of considered some ways that we could maybe store factorizations out of core or do something to be able to solve bigger problems, even if it takes longer. So that's kind of some stuff that I've been working on. And then Doug has been,
I just don't spend too much time on this because John and I have been working on it.
Yeah, and then, just going back and forth with Doug on the discretized stuff.
Cool.
Devin, question, because of our joint paper, we talked a lot about what is acceptable error. Can you quantify fairly accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say easily within 5% or less.
Okay.
So if I make, say, a minimum of 4 cells for the smallest skin depth, then I'm basically getting the analytic solution and the numerical solution to almost plot on top of each other. So, I mean, I haven't actually quantified the error and said it's this %, but based on a reasonable a reasonable discretization, it's quite accurate.
Thanks.
Okay. With that, I think Dom had some extra stuff going, and Dom had something listed there.
Yeah, so John and I worked over the break on the on looking into the tiling EM of all the PDE codes, and I think we have a very strong solution for it, which involve basically doing the Paradiso inside the delayed function, and instead of passing fields over the network, to just compute deep red, and if you do sensitivities directly within the same call, right? I posted a picture on the dev channel, and so far for the DC code, we're getting really tight parallelization, so it's super promising, and then that gives us basically the option to run distributed memory parallelization. So I think it's quite promising. I think John's gonna say something about MT if you worked on it, but basically that's the next step, right? We're going to clean up the DC, refactor the PFs, and then move on to MT, because yeah, the implementation is going to be pretty easy in the end.
Cool, that's good. John, do you have anything to add to that? Or
yeah, I didn't quite get to the MT problem quite yet. I'm just kind of reshuffling things, I guess. And yeah, I shouldn't let that PR hang for the MT. So I'm back, and yeah, I tackled it last night. I found a few places where it's failing the tests. It's in the 1D. So Lindsay, I might ping you a little bit after this meeting just to see what it is. It's in the get sigmas there. It's something about the mesh that it expects, but yeah, we'll touch on that there. But yeah, and then just doing some of the tiling stuff there, helping Dom out and doing some tests. I even dabbled into a little bit of the MPI stuff. That's kind of how I figured out what Paradiso is kind of up to in the background. And to scale the solver, it seems that you've got to scale by NUMA nodes, not by processors, because all the memory is being put onto that NUMA node, and then the processors access it from there. So then you can get a bandwidth, or you can become bandwidth limited if the problem gets too big, or if you try tiling it too many times, because it's still accessing it from the different areas. But if you're on a different processor, on a different CPU, the latency is just not there, or the bandwidth is not there. Yeah, I can go into it a little bit more another time once we have it kind of wrapped up, we can discuss further. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Just so everyone's aware, like we're going to try to move through meetings generally quicker. If you don't, as a forewarning, if you don't have things posted on your quick reports within the notes, I'm assuming that you have nothing to report. Is that understandable? Okay. With that, I see, I can go next. I've got a PR up on Discretize that removes properties, the dependence on properties from Discretize. If you give a look through it, it basically reproduces a lot of the serialization behavior. It gives us more control over that. It will give us more control over writing the documentation for NumPy style docs and everything to be uniform. It cleans up the initialization calls, I believe, because it's just not using the meta class behavior anymore. It's just normal classes, so it's a little bit, the init calls look a little cleaner. So just take a look at that, play around with it. It should be pretty transparent. It shouldn't really change the way that it functions at all. The other, I'm working on a new web page format, testing it with the Discretize. I've shown it around a little bit, just updating it, making it look more like the SimPEG.xyz homepage with the color format and scheme and text fonts and everything. Just kind of making it more unified, and also updating with that PyData theme as well. So mixing those two together to create something that's unique for discretized and still looks clean. I've shown it around a little bit before, just pushing a little bit more on that. I would hopefully be able to get all this in with this new release. More, so Devin has been working on some the NumPy style docs for the functions. Now we need to move on to doing it to the classes as well. Do that with the, if we start branching off of this, discretize the D properties pull request for that branch.
Is it the plan, Joe, to do the same after to SimPEG?
At some point, it'll be a little bit more difficult with SimPEG because things are more reliant on the properties, on those properties. I think we can still, well, obviously we'll still be able to do it because there's always a way to do it. But it'll take a little bit more thinking. Discretize was just kind of lightly involved in it. What else? Oh, I put up a PR at implementing Robin conditions on the cell gradient matrix and the tensor mesh in a way that kind of, it should be clear how we can generalize it to the other meshes pretty easily. So if you want to take a look at, play around with that as well, it's there. As part of that, I thought it would be necessary to define a few more properties on the meshes being, so we have boundary faces for the cell gradient, we would have boundary faces. And then we have, so obviously you'd be able to ask for the boundary faces and get the location of every boundary face in an ordered manner that matches the tensor mesh construction. So it knows, okay, the normals on the left side are gonna be that direction, normals on the right side are gonna be the other direction. So you don't have to like go through and make a bunch of special cases if you're on the left side. You'll just be able to, you know, if you need to say, oh, the gradient or the boundary condition is the gradient dotted with the outward normal, you can actually do that operation now pretty quickly and independently of the mesh. I think, Lindsay, if you're there, Rowan, if you, first of all, does anyone have anything else to report?
We got a PR, right, from someone external, which is pretty cool. The plotting function to be able to not use the indices. That's pretty neat.
Yep. Yeah, it should be just, I need to look over it really quick, but that one's from Colton Conkey. He's from, he's at Beckett School of Mines. He's under Iago right now. So we'll probably be looking over that and getting it in shortly. It's nice.
Can we actually think of generalizing the idea, right, to be able to, because we have the in-cell call in the octree tree, but we don't really have it in tensor, to be able to know which cells a coordinate sits in? It would be nice if we had like a general call on all meshes to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think we can come up with something like that. It's pretty simple on the tensor mesh.
Right, because it's just a look up long dimensions. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we don't have to code it over and over again, that would be neat.
Yep.
Because that's the same issue that he's doing, right? Is basically just going from coordinate to indices.
Yeah, he's going from coordinate to indices, so it's just looking it up along one of the dimensions, so not along all of them. If I can read out Lindsay's if you'd like. So essentially, so it says, "Oh, you're back, Lindsay."
Maybe. We'll see if I
can hear you if you'd like to.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so the couple of things I wanted to share are that I got a really thoughtful email from Sean Walker regarding the governance conversations. He listened into the videos and took a look at the notes. And so I asked if I could share his content and questions with everyone. So I'll be posting that in the SimPEG governance document, and we can kind of think about next steps and maybe sort of work on making some progress here in the coming weeks and kind of resurface that conversation. And then I guess kind of just following on the MT work, I'll be sort of jumping back in there hopefully soon. And then there's the one agenda item that I put up at the top with the discourse. Well, I guess I put two. With the discourse, Jaja had posted that he was playing with some of the computation GeoSci content. So we can maybe chat about how we want to progress with that, because there's some useful content there, but it's very, very out of date. Yeah, but then I guess the other item, and I know Joe mentioned this, is thinking through if we are game to give a go putting the meeting notes into IOXA. And so I'll turn things over to Rowan here shortly, but a couple of the things that I thought might be quite useful, and you can sort of play around. I'll post one of the examples that I pushed on this past week with the leading edge tutorial that we generated a couple of years ago now at this point. But to kind of give you a bit of a tour. But a couple of the benefits that I see is like, first, being able to, work in IOXA, provide some feedback and, help shape something that would serve us. I think too, it would make our notes a bit more public facing. And so right now, if you have the Google Doc link, you can access the SimPEG notes, but this, we would sort of, in a sense, be able to publish them more like a bit of a blog. So we'd probably get a bit more viewership there. Yeah, and so with that, I don't know, Joe, if there were other items you wanted to cover first, or if you're game, if we let Rowan share some of IOXA and sort of asks from this community.
I don't have anything else, so Rowan, go ahead, take it away.
Cool. Yeah, I think so. Like as well, I don't know. My motivation in starting IOXA is shaped almost entirely in the SimPEG community and some of the pieces that I wanted to see in this community, and sort of like how to grow it, how to get more feedback, how to make it much easier to publish things and get other people sort of into the community in sort of light ways. And so meeting notes are certainly some of the pieces that we're doing, but I think it's like collaboration within a research team is really what IOXA is aiming to do. So allowing it easier to get feedback on notebooks and yeah, just integrate those into meeting notes, have them published in sort of this light way quite easily. Maybe I can quickly show just where, like a few of the updates of like where IOXA is at today, just to give you a sense of that, maybe. That'd be helpful, Lindsay, you think?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. And actually maybe even just like a quick intro to some of the pieces. So like, what is an article? What is a project? And just kind of maybe thinking a couple pointers as to how we would use that for meeting notes, but then also if there's other things you want to point out, like for example, notebooks and sort of collaboration on content there.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, I'll go to my profile. So IOXA has a profile which has all sorts of projects inside of it. Right now it's all individual based, but hopefully in about a week and a half, we'll have teams. So having like a SimPEG team where you can actually have both private and public examples. So if I just open this up in an incognito window, this is what someone publicly would see on my side. So it's a bit of like sort of a profile for you to get your work out there a lot easier, so similar to a blog. And this has, these are just notebooks, so I can jump into one of these and it gives you a list down the side, table of contents, pretty similar to what you get in Read the Docs, but created quite differently. And then these pieces remain interactive. And so that's sort of one piece, is like, it's a little bit of documentation, but the big difference with this is these notebooks are actually stay linked to where they live in Jupyter. And I think I showed that a little bit last time, where, for example, this is like one of the figures that we had, and like you can add comments. And so if we actually open this up in IOXA, this is what you could share with someone, and then you can add a new comment, and that shows up anywhere this cell is actually used. So it's by reference. And so over in this world over here, now we have that comment existing over here. So we can actually create content and share it and review it pretty easily. And so I think, like, especially on like integrating some of these pieces, like if you have an example of meeting notes, you can pull figures directly from your notebook where you're working into those meeting notes, have a conversation around that, and then those comments go directly back into where you're working. So I don't actually have a SimPEG weekly meetings, but we do have our weekly meetings for IOXA. So you can see that like every week is a different one of these. I don't know. And then if say I wanted to actually comment on this figure, you just copy the link, go over here. You have to hit edit. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. And then you can actually just paste it in with the command V, and then new comment, hello again. And again, that comment shows up wherever that is. And so that's allowing you to create meeting notes, but also have this sort of linked view. Yeah, I don't know. So where we are right now with IOXA is it's early days. It's a heck of a lot better than it was a month ago, and in a month it'll be way better. So I think we're like right on that curve of, I'm confident that it works and will support it into the future. And I guess my ask from this community is we're trying to grow the product, learn about how people use it. So it would also be asks for me in building out IOXA of like, what works, what would you like to see? And also we give you like SimPEG, because I don't know, I like SimPEG, a lot of attention from my team. So that's my pitch, that's my ask. Please help.
And Rowan, one thing that you've done in a couple other communities, so I know in the Software Underground, there's an IOXA channel where people are just kind of sharing screenshots and things like that. Is that perhaps something we can do in the SimPEG group, and just kind of like, as people run into questions and things like that, or problems, post a screenshot or a question, and we can maybe get a bit of support there with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that sounds great. I can do that right away. Do people have questions or thoughts or anything else?
I think we'll have to try, right? I mean, if you set us up, then we can try it.
That would be amazing.
So maybe in terms of next steps, I guess it would be, if folks are game to create an account and then maybe share your account maybe just in the Google Doc, like your account username. And then I'm happy to move over the meeting notes from today there. And then we can just kind of mess around with it and maybe give it a more serious go next week. Would that work with folks?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good to me.
Hi, Rowan. Sorry, this is Jaja. Sorry, I came in late. I missed most part of your stuff. I just saw you drag that image and move it over to a web page where you can make comment. So is that what your products is all about? Or?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Is having for research teams better collaboration when you're sort of working on notebooks, you need reviews, you're creating reports on them and papers, and sort of just helping you work between Jupyter and your writing environment.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Yeah.
Yep. Lindsay's on mute if she is trying to talk.
Yeah, I think this will be a really great tool to use. Lindsay, remember we had this brief conversation about the obsolete functions on some of the examples. I think we might be able to use the tools that Rowan just showed. I mean, I can highlight a few of the obsolete functions that I came across and maybe ask how to update these functions using the latest version of SimPEG. Because I spent some time in the past 2 weeks on SimPEG or this example codes on the web pages, but most of them turned out to be pretty old. So I got a lot of error messages. So I'm just, Ruben was presenting his tool. I was just thinking about that. Do you have any idea if that's a good tool to use for better communication?
I think that would be a great test case, because if you get the notebook into IOXA and then we can have a bit of a conversation about the content, and work with you to try and kind of get that up to date. Because yeah, I'm glad you discovered those examples, because there's some really useful examples on that site, but they are out of date. And so yeah, that would be a great test case.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, we can follow up on that.
And I think my internet is maybe okay, so folks don't need to all have your videos off for just my sake.
Any other questions or thoughts or speculation on IOXA? I'm happy to do 10 minutes or 15 minutes of just walking all of you through it and giving you a bit of a tour. And maybe I'll post a few videos and some onboarding stuff, because that's probably where we're lightest at the moment.
Well, one thing I might add, like Lindsay, thanks for pointing out there was an IOXA channel on Software Underground. I had no idea. So it's actually good to see the example and the screenshot that people have been using, because I think for me, that's what I will need the most right now, is like seeing an example on how people use it. And so that, I mean, that will definitely help a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if having an IOXA channel on the SimPEG Slack is useful, or if we should just all regroup on the Software Underground one. Don't have an opinion on that.
Is everyone here on the Software Underground?
I haven't played around with it, so I'm not so sure.
So Thibaut, you're talking about another like Slack channel for the Software Underground? Is that the case, or?
No, I was just thinking like, so on the SimPEG Slack, so like either there is already an existing channel on Software Underground, so we can all join that, or we create a channel within the SimPEG Slack. But so like it's a smaller audience, but it's more focused. It's always a balance.
Yeah, I'm certainly happy to like just wherever people are. Like I'll come to you at this stage and just and help for sure. Dom got the 3-letter Dom username. That's going to be valuable in the future, Dom.
Exactly. First on the username. I missed out on so many of those.
I think just to echo what Thibaut was saying as well, is right now, like what's super valuable to us is actually being able to show like a community or a group of people working with this, because we're at like, we're early days. We think this is like a really helpful collaboration tool for research groups, but we don't have a ton of, we don't have like basically anyone other than the founders using it at the moment. So this is us launching with you guys. And hopefully we'll get some good use cases to show how other groups can work and sort of make SimPEG a best case showcase for that.
Yeah, I definitely second that, Ron, because yeah, I played around once or twice, but at the moment, if you would like to collaborate with someone, you would have to drag everyone over. So it's a bit the chicken egg problem. That yeah. So I can see that point.
This is the big problem that we're facing at the moment, is people sign up and then don't use it because nobody else is there. So we're hopefully with the SimPEG team, and we'll also be doing this with the Swung group. I mean, I'd like to see geoscience take over the world of, I don't know, software research collaboration.
I don't know if you spoke with Matt about it, but maybe bring in IOX in position for next transform for the hackathon might be a good, point.
Yeah, no, that's. I'm having a conversation with them on tomorrow.
Hi, Robin. Hi, Robin. I have a problem. I just signed signing account and just wondering, can we freely join to the ANIM project from the ANIM one, or we have to be invited to join the project and collaborate with each other?
So can you, so is it the collaboration with anonymous people, or?
Yes, collaborate with anonymous people.
So right now that isn't there. That's something that we will be adding, I'm hoping in the next month or so.
Okay, so I means I have to be invited to join the project. Okay, got it.
Yeah, you can publish things publicly, and then anybody can see them.
Okay.
But right now you have to be in the door to sort of collaborate on a named group of people.
Okay, got it.
Hi, Roman. I'm looking at your webpage with a few examples you put there. I think this is a really great tool for both teaching and research, because I was teaching myself SimPEG, and slowly developed my understanding how to code out in SimPEG. So what I did is that I copy the codes from the webpage, SimPEG webpage, and then I always wanted a place to write down my own understanding about how, oh, this is a code. This is the Lama code I should use if I want to construct the survey. But I just can't find enough space to put down my own understanding. What I did is that I just copy and paste the codes into a PowerPoint slide, but there's only so much space on the slide where you can insert your comments, thoughts, ideas, understandings, right? So I think this will be really great, also for research as well. too often me and my students, we check each line of codes and ask them what this line code does, and we can't easily find a place where we can, write down my comments, right? Oh, why did you do this? Why did you not do something else? So I think this will be really great for both teaching and research. So I already see a great potential for this to grow.
That's awesome. I'm excited to see how you use it and pull it into those places. I think one of the other really cool things about that, especially with pieces like tutorials, is those code snippets that you're actually copying into something like PowerPoint and writing around it. That's actually the same code snippet, so it's referenced to that. So if you have a comment or a question about the code, or you want to improve it, then that can actually propagate to everybody else who's actually using it. So you have your own like little teensy tiny code snippet, but you can, if you're commenting on that, you can push it back to basically back to the SimPEG team or whomever is in charge of that.
Okay, that's really cool.
Thanks, Dieter. That's because you gave me a hack about it. About the tables.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to give it a go again, because I think last time I used it, the whole figure thing was still not working, if I remember right. So that was also a big showstopper.
Yeah. There are less showstoppers these days. There's probably still quite a few, but we're actively fixing them.
So with that, does anyone have any other questions or things they'd like to put forward for other discussion topics? So we got about 15 minutes left for the meeting.
I mean, I've got a question, but if somebody else has something, they're welcome to go first. Okay, yeah, I was just wondering if anyone here sort of knows the status of SimPEG being available on the UBC cluster. I know Mike did a lot of work on that for his PhD thesis. I'm working with some FEM inversion stuff, and I'd like to send that out somewhere instead of running it on my laptop. So has that been touched in any point recently? Is it?
I think Thibaut said he was running some stuff recently, and I think he was using basically my install of Anaconda and everything, because that was the one that kind of worked.
Okay.
So it was an older operating system on the cluster. We had to kind of really pick and choose as to which versions of which packages we were having installed.
Okay, so that'll be kind of a nightmare. It's not just set up or okay.
I can update all on Conda, it'll break everything. So, or at least it did when I set things up.
Okay.
You can probably just talk to Thibaut and see how he was navigating that, and maybe just reference that install. If you're having trouble, just reference the install of Anaconda that I had in my home directory and just use that as your base and move from there, maybe.
Okay.
I remember I had gotten it working on a cluster at Mines, but only for my local account. It involved, you have to understand how the clusters compile and setting up everything as well, because you need it to compile, discretize, as well as a few other packages.
Right, yeah. Okay, so it sounds like a more of a significant undertaking than I was expecting.
Yeah. Well, and if you want things set up on your account, you will need to contact Roman, because yeah, I tried to do things on my account to update, and even installing Anaconda 3, I could not do it. So, and like, yeah, and I ended up using Mike's distribution because I was doing that while I was like, when I wanted to submit the thesis. So I went for the quickest decision, for the quickest solution, but it's not the ideal solution. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm excited to try out some of this tiling stuff too when it's available.
How do, yeah, me as well. I'm curious how to get on. Is there just like a school-wide cluster computer, or is there, you referring to your own local thing? I have no idea how it's set up here.
Yeah, the UBC GIF group has access to some cluster computing. It's generally managed by Roman, and we could get you set up to using that. But I guess it's running on some operating system that isn't exactly compatible with the latest version of Anaconda. So mostly what we use it for is running UBC GIF Fortran codes.
Okay.
Is there still people running stuff on this?
Well, I do regularly because I'm.
Yeah, but other than you.
Thibaut as well.
Yeah, I'm running some things on the cluster sometimes. Yeah.
But no LDAT students are not touching it.
I don't think so.
I haven't seen them in a while.
They're all working at Extract, so they're probably doing something through that, and I think they've got something more powerful there anyway.
One other one to potentially look into, I'm not sure if anybody has, is I think that Felix's old cluster got repurposed for the department. I don't know much about that, but I suspect if you pinged, I suspect Phil Austin, he might be able to tell you just kind of how.
Frozen's.
I think I froze there, but Phil Austin might be a good resource for trying to find out about that cluster.
Yeah, I could ask.
Yeah. All right, I think we lost Lindsay for a good.
Yeah. So if there's nothing else, I just like to say we're excited to look for a new year and let's get a lot of stuff done.
Yay.
One quick question before we go. So what's the latest version of SimPEG? I was using 0.13.0 on my computer, so but I guess there's a newer version, right?
Yeah.
It's what, 14, 15, 16, or?
I'm double checking. I think it's not a 0.0. I know that. Or it's not a like 13.0. There's some.
I'm running 0.14.3 right now, but I don't know if that's the most up to date.
Oh.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, because I'm debating with myself whether I should update my SimPEG on my computer, because my students, Xiaolong and I, our codes, inversion codes, were developed using an older version, 0.13.0. So I don't know how much were there big changes from 0.13 to 0.14 or?
Yes, there were, and you can see the changes if you go to the documentation and the release notes.
Release notes. Okay.
Detailed all the changes that were made.
Can you maybe copy and paste that information into the chat box?
The SimPEG documentation link?
Yeah, the changes when you update your version. You said release notes, right?
Yeah, it's on the, it's at the bottom of the SimPEG documentation homepage.
Okay. I'll do it. Okay, thank you.
I'm just gonna copy and paste the link in the chat.
Okay, that will be helpful. Okay, got you. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Devin.
no problem. Yeah.
I'm in the same boat as you, Judge. I need to update all my stuff too. So maybe once I get through, or if you get through before me, we should talk, see where the big hurdles were.
Are you talking about the examples on the SimPEG docs?
Yeah, well, also the version of SimPEG that I'm exposing in the GeoApps is also on 13.1 or something, right? So I need to update everything.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to do the tiling if you move right away because it's not in yet. We're working on it, right, on the main SimPEG.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would probably suggest to wait a little.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, that was my main job for a couple of weeks, like to bring all of my PGI stuff with the simulation class for the PR that I have right now. It's done, but yeah, it takes a bit of time, and
yeah,
there is always something that changed, a behavior that changed you didn't expect.
Yep. Okay then. So we'll start organizing some more hacking parties shortly and other things as well. I know I'm not ready for one this week yet, but maybe we can start looking forward to one next week. Maybe after, we can plan for one after meeting next week. If that works. Let's do like an hour after the meeting, sit down and hack away together. Dieter can get involved in this one as well then.
Sounds good.
Cool. And thanks for letting me hijack some of this meeting today. And thank you in advance for all your help.
Yeah. Sounds good. Okay. That, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
See you everyone. Bye-bye.
Right.